Hello everyone, this is Anup and welcome to my session 5 on ADF. This is the series of sessions that I've been doing. There are 4 more videos on my channel so you can have a look around and see what you find interesting. So today I will be covering, so let's go dive in and see what we're going to cover today. So the agenda for today is that I'm going to talk about data flows. Then I will talk about source transformation. Then I will talk about filter transformation, and then I will talk about aggregate transformation. And then if you have any questions, you can put it in my channel comments so that I can get back to you. If you have any kind of questions, just let me know. I'll try and answer them best I can. So let's start. So what are data flows? Basically till now, whatever I have covered in ADF is how to copy data from one source to another source, how to use the different copy transformation to copy the data around. So today I am going to talk about data flow, which is the heart of ADF, I will say. This is where you will transform your data. And basically, you will massage your data, clean up your data. So if you're getting data from different sources, you want to clean it up, you want to aggregate it, you want to merge two data sources. This is where you will do everything. And what data flow allows in ATF is to do all that in visually. You don't have to write any code. A minimal code is required, and that can be executed as pipelines in ADF. So basically, you can schedule them, run them at different intervals, and you can do all that with data flows. And then this is like data flow in SSIS, but slightly different. So I will now just show you the data flow canvas and how it looks. So let me jump into my ADF. So we are into ADF. This is our studio, ADF studio. So this is the menu. So data flow is so important that it's got a menu of its own. So let's go and click new data flow. That's what we want to do. And I will call it DF uh, demo data flow. So that's all you need to give. So that's the data flow. And there's one option I want to talk about is data flow debug. So this is will allow you to debug your data when you're creating the data flow. So if I click that, it goes into ask you the integration runtime that you want to use. Uh, this is auto resolve integration runtime. This is what ADF will do is it will create a 4 node Apache cluster for you, and where you can debug your data flow that you're going to create. And this is what it is. Let me go and show you where we can see the integration runtime. So this is the compute resource. So let me go in here. Okay. Yes, so I need to go and cancel this one. So let me go again, maximize that, manage. And these are the integration times. Yeah? This is the auto resolve integration runtime that is created by default. If I click on that, and you just see here, it will show you core count is 4. It is by creating a 4 node cluster for you, and that is a journal because you can't change these settings. But if you want to use a different settings, you can create your own. So this is what I have done for my own. And if I go in here, it is small size. You can change the size here and say custom size and how many nodes you want. You can say that, and you can decide the kind of compute you want. So let me cancel out of there. So this is basically about the integration runtime. So let's go back to our data flow. Okay, this is where we are. So you need to have a minimum of a source and a sink. So I'll talk about sink later, but let's add a source, which is where from you're getting data into the data flow. So let's add a source. Okay, let me minimize that one. So I'll call it source. Okay, so before I go on to that, so I'll just quickly add the source. Okay, uh, so yeah, so before I start that, let me show you what we are going to do on demo today. So that's about data flow. And in the demo today, we have a movies database. which I will show you in a minute. What we're going to do is basically import the data, filter in years, filter from all the data from 1910 to 2000, and then we're going to average out those ratings, all the comedies in that year. That is what we're planning to do, and then we'll put all the data into that aggregated data into a SQL table. So that's what we're going to do. So let me show you the data first that I have. So let me go to my Azure storage account. This is the movies database that I have. Let me open that. So I've opened the file. That is the CSV file, the movies data file. So if you look at that, this is the title. We have 6 columns: movies, title, and rating, and the Rotten Tomatoes. So what we're going to do is we're going to get an average rating of all the comedies between 1910 and 2000. That's what is the basic objective. So there are around 9,000 rows in this. That's what it is. So there are around, yeah. So if I go down, not all this. So we have around, yeah. This is, sorry, I got the wrong file. This is the small file. That is the movie sample. Sorry, I opened the wrong file. Can you close that? I don't save that one. Sorry, this is the file I wanted to show you. Then you open that one. It's downloading. Okay. So if you look at again, there are some 9,000 records in here. So that's what is my source looks like. And I'll show you where we want to put that. Just close that one. So click on that one. So let me go into my SSMS. This is my SSMS, and this is my Azure database that I have. This is the database, and I'll just go into that and run a query. Right. Okay, so I've opened SSMS, and I'll just show you the table, what it is. It is called. This where we are going to just the destination. This is comedy rating. So I'll just do a select star from there. Right. So there is no data in here. So that's where we're going to fill the data. So let's go back to our data factory. So this is the source. The source that we see is our Excel file. So let me put it here. Let us call it source is source. Sorry, we can't put it. Let's go to movies data. Right. That's what I will call it. And right. And this is the source type data site and inline. So I'll quickly go back to my presentation and talk about what is the difference and how it works. So let me go back to the presentation. So source transformation, there are two types of sources that we just saw. There is an inline and a data set. What is the difference between that? The inline data set will live within your transformation, while a data set is an abstraction. It is a view to the data. It doesn't live within your transformation. It can be living in your pipeline. How do we decide that we want to use an inline or a data set? So first thing is if the source is available. For that, there is this link. I will share that. This is the link. It will give you what kind of source types are supported for dataset and inline. So if your source or the data source is available as inline, you could use it in inline. It is not, like, for example, this is not available as inline. One second, yeah. So Cosmos TV is not available as inline, so you can't use it. So I usually use this table to find out what kind of data source source I want to use. So let me go back. Okay. The other thing is if you want to reuse it. So if you want to reuse the same data in different data source transformations, then you need to use it as a data set, not as an inline, because inline lives in only one data flow. So you cannot access it from another data flow. And inline is usually good for a smaller data set. If you have smaller data set, but if it's bigger, it's good to go for data set. And inline is faster because the data lives in your data flow, and then that's where from you can use it. So that's how we can do the differences and decide what kind of data I want to use, inline source type or data set source type. Let me go back to the ADF and continue on the demo. Okay, so here I am. Right. So that's the data set in inline we talked about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new data set. I'm going to use the data set, not the inline one. So let me go and blob storage where we have. Okay, we had the delimited file. So let's choose that one, and we're going to call this data source ts movies tv source. Okay, and I've already created the link service, so I'm going to use that. And let's point to the file. TV, and this is the file I want to use. Click on OK. That's all. And we're going to import the schema. And first row where it is, so we want to leave that as it is. Click on OK. Right. So now there are few options we have. Allow data schema drift means basically if your schema or the source is changing quite often, you're adding new columns, then you tick that, then ADF will not fail. If you have got that tick, it will automatically pick those changes. Inferred drifted column types is, just let me show you how it works. So let's go back to it. So right now, if you look for all the columns, it is showing data types as string, and you will have to manually go and change that. And if you go into this and say infer data type, then ADF will infer the data types of those columns and do it for you. You don't have to do that. And validate schema is if you have that clicked, then ADF will validate the schema, the data types of the incoming data uh, and your transformation. So if your the data types don't match, the copy, sorry, the source transformation will fail. So that's basically it is. And so that's it. And let me show you the source options. So these are wildcard files like other when we're copying files. And yeah, okay, that's that. One more thing. Yeah. So one of the thing I wanted to show was is enable sampling. So this is if you enable this, basically if you have a lot of data and say for example your source table has millions of rows, so you don't want to debug your transformation when you're developing it using all 10,000. So you can enable a sample and you can specify here what kind of sample you want to use. So how many rows you want to use as sample. So let's you could give it any number. Right, so that is one. And you need to again enable the data flow debug, and I didn't enable it earlier, so let me do that for that to work. So let's click on OK. So we'll use the auto verification runtime. Click on OK. Okay. So that is that is where you give how many rows you want to for sample. There's another thing that you wanted to show. So let's go and debug settings. So now, right now, it will take sample from the source. So that is my file, which was called movies TV, and limit the size to 1000. For example, if you in that movies database itself, you don't want to maybe basically work with two titles, not all of them. So you can take a sample file and choose that there, and go and browse, and it will you can create a sample file. That's what I had done earlier, but I'm going to use the main file itself. This is the like sample which has less number of rows, maybe 500 or 1000 or 3000, whatever you want. You can use that as well. So I'll just cancel it out of there. Right. So that's it. Yeah, cancel out of there also. Okay. So we're going to just get a sample of random sample of 500. That's what we're going to do, and that's it. So that's about the okay. So we were Then these are the source options. Then again, projection, this is the where it will infer data types. So if you say import projection, it will ADF will go and check your source and automatically infer the data type. That's what that we discussed earlier as well. So let me import that. So now you look, this is imported successfully, and now your data types for movies is integer, title is string, and year is short. So that's changed. That's what it automatically inferred the data type area. Now we can do a data preview as well, which I do a refresh. Will just show me what data this transformation is getting. So that's the data. That's what we can see. The movie is integer, title, and everything. That's what we wanted. Right now, we want to filter this data. So what we want to do is we want to get data only for movies which are comedy and from 1910 to 2000. So let's just add a pencil transformation. So let's go there and search for filter. So let's add filter transformation. Right. So we'll call it filter by year. Yeah, okay. And that's where you do that. And then this is where you give the incoming. So that's already you can see as visually we can see. And when you click on the blue part, it will take you where you will give the expression for your expression where on which you're going to filter the data that is coming in. So what we want is we want so this is where it will show you all the functions, parameters that you can use. So what we want to do is first we will do int, right? So we have two integer, and what we want is from the input schema we want year, right? Year, so we'll just remove that. Year is greater than 9010. That's what we wanted. And you say and, right? That's how you could scan. Again, we'll do it to integer. Again, we want year and just type it in, right? Greater than, oh, sorry, less than, I wanted less than 2000. So let's be less than equal to 2000. And now, again, what we want to check is if they're all comedies. So we'll just do that. And we'll use a function called rlike. So let's get rlike. Right. So they basically checks the string and matches the pattern. So what we're going to do is there are like okay. So what we want is from input schema we want that title, right? Oh, sorry, no, not title. I got that wrong. So, like okay. So that's what it is. Let me check my spellings. Sometimes I get wrong. So let me check quickly. Got the right data. Yeah, no, right. That's what we wanted. That's all. So you can now save and refresh, save and finish it. And if you go into data preview, so that's where you can see. So if I refresh here, it will get the data and it can give us an idea if our transformation, oh sorry, our filter is correct or not. So it's just getting comedy, and that's all the years are there. So that's what it looks like. Our filter is fine. So let's go to the next step. So now we want to aggregate this data. So let's add another transformation. We're going to get aggregate transformation. Right. So let's go in for aggregate. Okay. So what we want to say is average rating. I'll call it average rating. And so it's like so again incoming stream is from its coming data is coming from filter by year. So that's what it's showing. And now we want to group by year, right? So that's what we will do. Right. because that's group by year and then average rate. So we want group by name, and I want to call it May year, right? And let me just maximize this so you can see that it will name that column as year. If you want to change that column name, then change that as. I'll leave it as year and aggregate, right? So what we want to do is, okay, so we want to say, let's say at this, so this will be called the column that we will call as, uh, sorry, average rating. So we'll call it average. We want it as average. That is what we're going to aggregate, the average rating, right? And the expression that we want there is, okay, so average column name is average rating is showing again. So let me maximize this. So we basically want a average function, that's the average function, and the value that we want is we can choose it from the column list. So input schema respect is coming into, so we want rating, right? So let's go rating. That's all we want. So then we can save and finish that. Like that's all we want in here. So let's again, let's go into optimize. Optimize is basically partitioning, and I'll talk about that later in my other videos. And these are the data preview again. So this is the columns that is creating and this showing. So let's go into data preview and if I refresh that. Right, so it's got the year and the average. That's what we wanted. Now, if you look at that, data looks good. So let's go to the next step. So now we want to insert that into a table, our table that I shown you earlier. So for that is the destination transformation. Oh, sorry, sync transformation is called. Sorry for that. It's called sync. So we'll call it test table names, right? Let's call it that. Again, in here, again, you have got data set option, sync type, data set inline or cache. Cache is in the memory if you want to store that. That's basically it is. And the other options are similar to what we have seen in source transformation, validate schema and allow schema drift. So let's use the data set and create a new data set. So we'll call it Azure SQL database. SQL Azure database. That's where my table lives. So let's go there and I will call it data source sync, and the links I already have to my Azure SQL. So that's the link service I have. Use that, and the table name where you want it to go is comedy. That's all you want. Click it OK. Okay, and there are some settings that you can look at. So how we want to insert data? Do we want to insert data or delete or whatever you want to do? We can specify in the sync, and there is an option for table action. So if you are importing data for the first time, you can recreate the table or truncate the table. I'm going to leave it as it is. And again, Bash says how many rows you want to insert. So at a time, so the transaction now doesn't fill up. So if you want to maybe do 1,000 at a time or 10,000 depending on how many rows or how much data is coming through your data flow. And do you want to use your 10 DB or not? If you want to do free scripts before loading the table, any scripts you want to use, like what if you want to truncate the table before you load data, anything that you want to do, and after loading the data, what is that you want to do? That is the post scripts, right? And this is the mapping. So this will show you this auto mapping, right? So and then let's do a data preview. So what is going to put it in there? Right, so this is what we got. Okay, so this is just getting here, not getting my column. So I have to edit the mapping. So let me go back to mapping. Okay, right. So here it is not getting that column. That's why in my data preview it was not showing one column. So let me go in here and select the column I created. That is the average. So that's what we want. So let's go back to data preview. So this is how it will show the mapping. So it will map year to year, put year into year and average rating from the source into average commodity rating. That's what it will do. So let's go into data preview and I refresh that. Right, so that's where it is putting in the average commodity rating that from the column average rating. So that's about the destination transformation. So till now, what we have done is we have tested everything, done debug in the data transformation itself. But right now, ADF has not run anything using the the entire table. So right now, sorry, it has not done any, put any data in this destination table. So let's go and have a look. So whatever we were doing is just debugging. So let's go and see. Right. So if I still see there is no data. To get to that, we have to put this transformation that we have created into a pipeline and run it from there. So let's publish this, whatever changes we have made. So let's publish. So that's published. Now let's go to author again. Okay. And create a pipeline. I'll just create a quick pipeline. I'll call it new pipeline. PL movies data transform. Okay. Let's call it that transform. Okay. And get that. And what we can do is we have this data set, sorry, data flow, not data set, but we just pull it and put it in our pipeline. Now you can just run debug so that it runs the data flow and let's debug that. And it will take some time. Let's just wait for that. Okay, so that's done. So it took around 51 seconds. So that's done. The entire data flow has run. So let's go back to our table and have a look. Destination. So that's where we are. And let's have a look. So it's inserted all the for those years. So it's inserted the data. So now we can see data. So yeah, that's how we have. So let's go back to the presentation. So that's all I wanted to show. Any questions you have, anything else you want me to show, let me know. You can put it in the comments and I can show you in the video. I can create a video for that. Thanks all. Thank you.